Kamala Harris is still looking for her number two. She has reset the electoral map, that Kamala Harris. Pretty amazing. Biden drops out. Harris becomes the likely Democratic nominee and has reset the electoral map in 2 weeks' time. Well, it's even though it's only been 2 weeks, they're actually looking at 7 key swing states. This is a bit different, and we're going to talk to Gary Dietrich, bottom of the hour, about just this. I'll also mention, just because I mentioned Gary coming up, I'll tell you that's also coming up, True Crime Corner. Courtney has a guest today. We're very excited about that. Someone who has a connection to the victim in all of the in this story. And Karen Dawn is here with a word about animals. So I'm going to really save a little bit of this, except to say, and this is important, that it appears with Harris's uptick. Now, look, this is still a dead heat. And the electoral map, as you know, favors the GOP candidate always. But the latest would suggest that there are additional ways and additional states that might be in play. That was not the case when Joe Biden was the nominee. The Democratic base is coming home in states that we know that are evenly divided and have been very, very close for the last few elections. They kind of snap back to being very, very competitive and will be the focus of the 2024 campaign. That's from Amy Walter, who's from the Cook Political Report. Although Trump's paths to victory were expanding in late June and early July, the race is now contracting back to the original 6 or 7 battleground states. Trump and Harris are now in a virtual tie. Trump at 46.5% support, Harris at 46.2% support. That's the Washington Post average of national polls. So all the trends favor what will be, again, an extremely close race within the margin of error, but Harris is obviously putting on much more of a show than was Biden. Biden was putting on, I don't know what he was putting on, but it was pretty, it was weak. It was weak. Meantime, there is real, shall we say, turmoil within the Trump organization. Here's what's happening. Trump White House aides, those are the people who served with Trump during his administration. I guess this should be a chunk of Trump, come to think of it, shouldn't it, Albert? Do I double back now and do chunk of Trump, or do I just continue? Kim, what do you think?
I think you just carry forward.
I think I just carry forward, yeah. But Albert, I do blame you for not realizing that this is chunk of Trump and somehow telling me.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the people who had served with Donald Trump formerly in his last administration, they are now coming forward in pretty healthy numbers for Kamala Harris. It's a Republicans for Harris drive. And dozens of well-known Republicans, including a couple of these former Trump White House staffers, have switched allegiance to endorse Harris. This is the latest blow to Trump, who is apparently very angry and looking at making changes potentially within his campaign. They launched a Republican for Harris drive just yesterday. They've already had public endorsement of almost 30 Republican moderates who reject the chaos, division, and violence of Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda. That's a quote. They include former Trump White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham, Olivia Troy, who advised Vice President Mike Pence on national security. I might not agree with Vice President Kamala Harris on everything, but I know that she will fight for our freedom, protect our democracy, and represent America with honor and dignity on the world stage, said Stephanie Grisham. Again, she was the White House press secretary.
The thinking is that if other Republicans hear from Republicans why they're switching, that the message is more likely to be well received, which I think is an interesting concept, and one the new Harris for Republicans group is really kind of digging into. You know, if people hear it from us, if people from our own party, Republican Party, hear it from us, then they're more likely to climb on board.
Yeah, to feel comfortable making that move. It does make sense in a way. I mean, it flies in the face of some history, because you'll remember there were full-page ads in the New York Times signed by what was it, 150 retired generals saying Trump isn't fit for office. There have been a ton of these collective declarations that Trump is dangerous and a chaotic force and belongs nowhere near a decision-making post. And it really hasn't done much in the past. But now, with the momentum changing, we might be reaching a tipping point where this kind of stuff actually may make a difference in the result of the election.
Yeah.
The old feud between Republicans and Donald Trump is kicked back up in Georgia. He was down there on the weekend, and during his weekend there, he opened up a tirade on Brian Kemp. Now, here's the deal on Brian Kemp. He's a Republican governor, of course, in Georgia. In my view, he stole an election from Stacey Abrams, and that's what they do in Georgia. They steal elections down there. They do it by disenfranchising voters. Abrams, you Google this. Google everything I'm saying to you, and it will be corroborated.
Google it.
The registrations that Abrams brought were in the hundreds of thousands, I think. There was a substantial number of registrants and new voters that Stacey Abrams brought forward. It was all legit. It was all kosher. And they found a way, the Republican machine, to disenfranchise those voters. Why is the U.S. voting public so dumb, says Spencer Jaffe? Well, I mean,
There's always been in this country 30 to 35% idiots.
Yeah. And Jim says, hopefully Albert will not get COVID for his birthday. Yeah,
oh, no.
That is
big shout
that
out.
is something we all hope. I hope nobody gets COVID at all for anything. But so Brian Kemp is not a good guy. But Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, is an effective governor from the standpoint of the way he's viewed by Georgians. In other words, he's fairly popular. So it's an odd target for Donald Trump to take on because he's a popular Republican in a state that you likely will carry and is on your side. And they're still in the business, is the state of Georgia, and they're still in the business, are the GOP machine members in Georgia of disenfranchising voters. It's what they do in Georgia. They throw people off the voter rolls. So they find any number of reasons. Again, Google it and you'll see. But this is really a story about how Trump is going after Brian Kemp, and he's going to need Kemp. It's the weirdest. You really see in Trump biting the hand that feeds him. He said he's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor. And of course, he got boos toward Kemp from his crowd. And he was at Georgia State University, and he's really escalated his criticism of Kemp to a point where it's hard to ignore it. But again, attacking a popular governor of a pivotal state is really not smart. But Trump is doing his Trump thing. Albert, I gave you a piece of video. What is it? A couple pieces of video from this morning?
I have one on some of the polling that you were talking about, and also one on what just Trump at the rally.
So give me the Trump at the rally stuff first, if you will, and then I'll get to the polling, okay? This is a little bit of Trump at the rally. This give you a feel for what happened over the weekend. Here we go. This is the rally I was talking about.
Ultra left, you know that.
He's talking about Kamala Harris.
A week ago, lots of empty seats. But the crowd she got was because she had entertainers. The school administration stopped us from getting another 500, 600, even 1,000 people in.
He's concerned that people are thinking he doesn't have big crowds anymore. That's what he's talking about there.
If they're going to stand in the way of admitting people to our rally, just imagine what they're going to do on Election Day. They got thousands of people, they won't let them in. A Harris presidency, you know why? Because they don't want to show that we're successful. That's all it is.
He sounds drunk.
They don't want to show. She has to go get.
He does sound medicated or something, doesn't he?
Like slurring his words. He sounds drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now you don't have an A and B comparison to Biden to help you anymore. You always had, Grandpa Joe, who sounded slow and, enfeebled. But now you don't have that. Now it's just you out there, riffing and making stuff up. And as Kim says, sounding a bit like you're dipping into incoherence.
A little too much rum in that Diet Coke there.
It is. Now, he's a non-drinker, so we know that it's not that. Rod Stewart is mocking Donald Trump because, I don't know why Rod Stewart felt the need to step forward, but he did. He made jokes during a Las Vegas performance. Anybody want to guess how old Rod Stewart is, by the way? What would you guess?
72,
Rod Stewart.
maybe?
70, you said?
72.
72. Albert, do you know who Rod Stewart is?
Of course, yes.
Albert, thank
Do
you.
you know who Rod Stewart is? I do have the answers, though.
Okay, so let's put some guesses up there. Mindy says 80, Nancy says 76, 75 says Knit One Pearl One. How old is rocker Rod Stewart? Jim Galinsky says 78. All of these are good but not correct. Manuel Martinez, 84. 74 says the V woman. Vilma, my girlfriend Vilma. Michael Bravo says 83. What a great name Michael Bravo is, if that's your real name. Michael D says 80. No one has guessed it yet. How old is rocker Rod Stewart? 79. Thank you very much, Sally and Callie. The 79-year-old singer, who recently flew a Ukrainian flag in Germany to a mixed reception, is on tour in the U.S. He has a string of shows at the Coliseum in Las Vegas. While performing on stage, he abruptly stopped the gig in front of thousands of fans to show a meme on the huge screen behind him. The image was a tweet with various images of Donald Trump through the years, with his skin color gradually deepening from a paler shade before morphing into like a tangerine hue. And the caption to that image made reference to Trump's comments about fellow U.S. presidential candidate Kamala Harris, when the Republican presidential candidate said that he was not aware Harris was black, and, all of a sudden she made a turn, she became black. So Stewart projected this image onto the screen and said, I didn't know he was orange until a number of years ago when he happened to turn orange. So, well, a little bit of trolling. He reposted the tweet, 1.4 million followers on Instagram. So you can see these Trump getting some blowback, both in a fun way and in a kind of more serious way. We'll talk to Gary Dietrich about the future in the short term and also in the full months ahead as the race is compacted a bit, but 3 months is a long time. It's both not a lot of time and a lot of time, meaning stuff can happen that can really shake a race up. This is clearly a dead heat race. So the last thing I would point to is Elon Musk and Elon Musk's new strategy to help Donald Trump. Of course, he has the super PAC, which is getting a lot of contributions for Donald Trump. But the other thing that is happening with Elon Musk and that super PAC is when you make a contribution to it, to the Trump campaign, the information you're putting in there, that's data that is then used by Musk. So he's collecting scores of personal information under the guise of inviting people to register to vote as part of the effort to boost Trump and his presidential campaign. Earlier this month, apparently, Musk denied reports that he would be donating the $45 million a month that was originally reported. Let me see what this is. Little known fact, it takes Krugerrands and a great Trump joke to buy into Mark's poker game, which is, that's not far from the truth. Thank you, Gregory. Yeah. And thank you for the $5.
Big shout out.
Yeah. I've never seen, I haven't seen a Krugerrand in a while. The point, though, and back to the story, is that he's not going to be now donating the $45 million. Instead, he's set up this PAC. This is a super PAC. It's a new one. It's called America PAC. I told you about it last week. But the PAC is like a door-to-door canvassing operation that allows it to work in direct coordination with the Trump campaign. And this allows Musk and other Silicon Valley donors to essentially put their money right into the presidential race on Trump's behalf. The America PAC, again, this is Elon Musk's new PAC he set up for Trump. Musk PAC under investigation in Michigan. Thank you, Maud. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, listen to what they want to do, because this really is a violation of privacy. They've launched a series of digital ads. They're using the image of Trump's assassination to invite people who are browsing on Google to register to vote. Seems innocent enough. In states where the outcome is certain, like California, the ads actually do direct them to a voter registration site. But in key battleground states, people are directed to a very different page. It prompts them to enter their phone number, address, and age. And once they've done that, they get a thank you with no actual link to a voter registration site. They poured $800,000 Musk has into digital advertisement. When I say Musk, I mean that America PAC that he set up. $800K into digital advertisements to target voters in key battleground states. So they're in Arizona and Michigan and Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And the information collected from user responses to the ad will inform their canvassing efforts in those states. They'll know where to go, where they should be. So this is not just about money. It's about turning out specific voters in very tight races. The investigation, though, in Michigan, that could really put a halt to things, or at least I would think put a pause on things. I'll ask Gary about this as well in just a couple of minutes. But that's the latest from Elon Musk, as he continues to try to do the heavy lifting for Trump, but he's doing it in more and more underhanded ways.
Big shout out.
A big shout out. The uprights. Mark Thompson is great. Google it.
Big shout out.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Google it. It's I appreciate that. Wow. It's just what I needed. It's the elixir I need. Yeah. Here is why would you go through a website like that to register to vote, says Karen. Well, here's what, sadly is the case. People are Googling where to register to vote, how do I register to vote, something like that. You just Google it, like you would anything. And then this comes up, and it comes up in the algorithm because you've got, these huge tech brains and their money making sure that comes up first or up high in any kind of Google search. So you end up with, click, this will help me register to vote. You get this thing, and then what happens is what I described. So it's a little bit of a Trojan horse, I guess is what I'm saying. It's an innocent mistake that people, apparently are making. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Tell me what our situation is. Do we have time for some quick news before Gary? Yeah, right?
Yep, we do.
Okay, cool. I've got a lot more. Looking forward to getting to it. I'll remind you, if you would, please, we'd appreciate it. Smash the like button, thumbs up.
Smash it with your iron rod.
It's kind of a little bit of a day here because we do have a major announcement.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show. A major announcement.
While we were sleeping, we passed 40,000 subscribers on this channel, which for us is a big deal. We have no way to promote the channel. We have no way except for those who are sharing links to the channel or a segment that they saw or whatever. Apart from that, it all has to happen spontaneously. We don't really have a machine. We're a homegrown show. So it's really exciting to have 40,000 subscribers. Thank you all. If a portion of you or every other one of you could hit the like button.
Smash it with your iron rod.
That would help. There it is, 40,000,139.
Wow,
really,
that's
really
awesome.
Cool. And so grateful.
40,140.
And counting. We've got one more right now.
Wow.
Shout out.
Also want to we'll thank Kim and Albert and Tony, and our Coachella Valley Coffee and Tenuta Vineyard, because we wouldn't be on the air without all of those people helping to prop us up and to make things happen every day. And most of all, our Patreon and PayPal subscribers. A couple of you I saw over the weekend have increased your donation every month. That is literally how we stay on the air. We are a PBS NPR model. We have, ads on YouTube, but that is not enough to keep this show on the air. So we needed your donations, and you have stepped up and made them. And for that, I am so grateful. And we run your names at the end of every show because we are grateful. You made every show happen.
Thank you.
If you make a donation, it'll be updated, and your name will be added to that list at the beginning of next month. So we do it monthly.
So much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Quickly handle a couple of these notes. Lance says all these billionaires spending and dark money in politics, including the Citizens United case, needs to be brought under control. All that money could have been used to make our country better. Of course, you're right, Lance. And I would say this, that is probably, I don't know if I would call it the original sin, but maybe among the original sins in American politics is the way we've allowed money into our political system. It is shameful. It's obscene. It really is third worldish, you know? So for all of the purity of these elections that we try to achieve, the idea that we allow money in politics, Citizens United and other court cases supporting these kinds of donations and dark money, read the Jane Mayer book. The Jane Mayer book shows you how dark money's getting into everything. It's into the politics, and it's into the universities, and it's into all these different systems, essentially, that precede a major election of the sort that we're going to have. So you're absolutely right about that. But happy Labor Day, everybody. That's the, yeah.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.